If you would have told me like 5 years ago that I was the social media presenter, then that would have been funny, because I had pretty much deleted all social media for about 9 months right before I partnered with Austin to help build BRANDTEGIC about 5 years ago. So I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with it. And I feel like I was kind of a reluctant adopter, because sometimes you just want to live your life and not have to capture everything. You want to work and not just tell people how good you are at your work, right? But when we're looking at how to differentiate yourself and the importance of it, social media, when you actually need to differentiate yourself and set yourself up in a market like we're in right now, then it becomes really apparent why, like, you wish you had started so much earlier to actually start building your brand, right? So I'm going to talk about a few things today, why social media matters. I'm going to go through 2024 social media trends and then leave you guys with some tips and takeaways. So I'm the CEO at BRANDTEGIC. We serve hundreds of clients, have done thousands of videos, generated millions of views for some of you guys in this room. Some of you guys know Austin as well. So last year I hosted a conference too. And the reason I'm sharing this is because social media is the only reason that this was possible. But it was multiple days, 3 different venues, and we had hundreds of guests that came in that we had to sell tickets for, had to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in sponsorship dollars, had 30, 40 speakers. None of that would have been possible without social media. That's the whole reason the event was able to come together. And in addition to that, other wins have had viral videos, lots of leads that have come from social media, both for our business as well as for others, a lot of relationships, and then client results too. So I'll dive into a little bit of that. This is what anybody that books appointments with BRANDTEGIC, like if we're doing sales calls, almost every single one comes from either TikTok or Instagram. So 3, 4, 5 days a week, I'm getting a notification like this. How'd you hear about us? TikTok, Instagram. That's where the vast majority of the business that we're getting comes from. Sometimes it's a referral, in which case it came from somebody that saw us on Instagram or TikTok and did business with us and then referred us, usually. So a lot of people that I've met, this is basically through social media again. And these are some of the results for clients. We get messages like this. Sold my first buyer off Instagram, closed a deal from TikTok, 20 leads from 1 post, walked in a new development, 10 homes. Never experienced that before. So it does work. If you're consistent, you actually do what it takes to grow on social, then you will get results, and it can turn your business around if you actually do what it takes to get there. Why social media matters beyond what I just shared there, but people spend an insane amount of time on social media. 17 hours a week, that's nearly a full day of week of people's time that is invested watching video content on social media, which is pretty wild. Also, that's Peter, our creative director, and we hired him from social media. So if you're trying to hire or build a team, it works for that too. Some of you guys may know Alex Hormozi. He says the most valuable thing that you can build is your audience. And that's coming from somebody who has a $100 million portfolio. And he said his brand is his most important and most valuable asset. Gary Vaynerchuk, some of you guys know him. Attention is the #1 asset. And the cool thing is you can actually build it for free. You don't have to invest a huge amount of money into fancy equipment and audio and whatnot. If you've got a phone, you can actually put out content and begin to differentiate yourself. And if more people know you, pretty simple, then more people will do business with you. That being said, your brand is more than what people just see on social media. Does anybody know somebody that looks really good on social media and then doesn't actually back it up? They kind of suck in person. So a few people raise their hand. So it's how you treat people. It's how you follow through. It's your character and competence. And so if that stuff's not in place, building a brand and trying to make yourself look good really doesn't matter. That stuff has to be in place first. And real success is when the people who know you the best actually respect you the most. But assuming that you've got the foundation in place, then how do you expand that? Because if you're really good, then nobody knows it. It doesn't really matter. It's not the best person who wins. It's the best known person. You can be the best loan officer or realtor, but if nobody knows who you are, then you're not doing any business. So there's people that are worse than you that are doing better than you. That's basically what that means. So let's talk about, you guys like that photo? Thanks. So let's talk about how to win and what social media trends are going into 2024. The first one is mastering your craft. So there's not some quick little hack that is going to magically make you just blow up on social media. Like Todd was saying before, there's somebody he knows that invests 20 hours a week and they're crushing it. They're actually doing amazing, but that's a whole part-time job. And okay, they're winning. They're doing a ton of business from it, but it takes work, right? So there's a lot of people that are doing social media. There's a lot of people that are trying to stand out. And so if you want to actually win, then you need to be good and you're going to suck when you start. So if you're just starting, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun, just like anything, right? Less me, more value. If you're trying to create shareable content, only putting out content purely about yourself and not actually giving people value doesn't do that much just to build trust. People kind of get to know you, but it's way more shareable if you're actually giving value, which could look like entertainment. The stuff I share all the time, if you look at my DMs, it's all stuff that makes me laugh and I share with somebody that relates to it or whatever, right? So that's a form of value. It's like infotainment if you slide in information and entertainment at the same time. And then what you track will grow. If you guys are tracking your sales numbers or anything else, or if you're on a fitness plan, you're tracking your meals, your workouts. So at BRANDTEGIC, this is one of the things that we do where we're tracking, okay, who was in it? What camera did we use? Who edited the video? What was the topic? What's the pillar of content? We're tracking all these things to see what works. We do that for our clients too. And then constant improvement, just wherever level you're at. Some of you guys probably haven't posted this entire year. Some of you guys probably post every single day. So there's a wide range, but wherever you're at, like take the next step and constantly look for ways to actually level up and grow. Maybe that's your audio or your lighting, getting better at storytelling or humor or anything else. Quality is more important than quantity, but I don't think you'll get quality content. I don't think you're going to crush it if you are not doing the quantity, because quality comes from doing it. You get better by going through the motions. Like I said, you suck when you first start, and then over time, you actually get results and you get good. So that's the way to get quality. But everybody, and this is like the great equalizer, is consistency. Regardless of how good or bad your content is, you're going to hate it. I showed a picture earlier of one that got 5.4 million views that we posted like a month ago. I've probably had 100 leads that have scheduled sales calls with us from that one video. And I don't like that video. So I'm like, I wish less people would see this video of me talking. That's how you're going to feel when you post content every time. We all do. We all judge ourselves and we're all hard on ourselves. But if you're consistent, you'll get better and you kind of get over it and realize people don't actually care that much anyway. Neil, some of you guys may know him. He's built a really successful brand in the mortgage and real estate space. And he says people with 100,000 followers don't inspire me. People with 50 to 100 followers showing up every day do. Keep going. So regardless of the results you have, if you're consistent, that garners respect. So that's the first trend, is basically just you have to be good. That's, unfortunately, that's where we're at today. Second thing is authenticity and transparency. We kind of went from this age of influencers to UGC, which is user-generated content, and almost like micro-influencers. And then now it's authentic. People just want real. Back in the day, Kim Kardashian would post like a perfume, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, if it's good enough for her, then this has to be amazing. And then people started to realize she's getting paid $10 million to post that. And so people started to see through it, and then micro-influencers took off a lot. And now people just want real. They want authentic. They want transparent. People can see through, like everybody's BS meter is pretty high these days. And so they just want to see what's actually real and what's actually going on. That's the content that works. People are tired of the sterile and staged, like the canned kind of content, right? That's just surface level. It doesn't really do much for you. You can't just post to post. Like I said, you have to actually get good and provide value. And if your feed looks like this, then people really don't care. I don't know who you're posting that for all the time, but if that's your feed, I'm probably not going to follow you. Like, you're not really giving a whole lot of value. You can shout out, people that you partnered with and do it from time to time and whatnot. So it's not like there's never a reason to post that you're doing business. Shows people you're actually good at what you do. Like, there are some benefits to posting these things occasionally, but if that's all you're doing, you're not building a lot of trust with people. You're not going to build a big brand just from a feed that looks like that. Ultimately, people work with people that they know, like, and trust. And so by getting on social media, being consistent, there's a certain number of hours. I think it was 7 hours, I believe, of spending time with somebody is how long for it actually takes for you to begin building like a legit relationship with them. So the sooner you can put out enough content that somebody's seen you for 7 hours, now that's a relationship. And then you can scale relationships way easier by doing that, by putting out a piece of content that, that one I mentioned that had, 5 million views or whatever. You look at the amount of hours that people had seen it, and it was like 6 years worth of time spent watching this one video, And so the amount of relationships that you can scale by putting yourself out there consistently, and then each one of those videos is like a little army that's out there getting your brand and your name in front of people. That allows people to know, like, and trust you over time. And people want connection and community more than just content. So putting out content consistently is great, but people are looking for more like interactive, collaborative, how they can be part of a community. They're looking for connection more than in the past. And Instagram's even got a couple features. Has anybody seen this one right here, where you post a carousel and you can actually invite people to add content to your carousel? Or have you seen anybody post that? It's something they're testing out. I've been seeing it a lot over the past week or two. And so they're creating their platform to be more collaborative, to invite people to actually contribute to your content and create more connections like that. They also have polls that they're starting to test out in the comments. So again, looking to create more interactions and connection, not just post it and move on. It's not just consuming content. People are interacting. And if you're creating content that's shared, people are interacting with and contributing to, then that's the content that will win. Speak the truth, showcase your personal interests and values. If all you're doing is purely real estate, purely mortgage, this listing, this one sold, that's it. Like, there's not a lot for people to really connect to there that's going to differentiate you, right? What makes you different and unique, that's what you want to share in addition to the other stuff. One example of this, anybody know Monica Church? She's local. Yeah, some of you guys do. She rocks. She tells this story, which I think is funny, sad, but funny. But she went through a breakup. She did a video and she was like crying through this video. And she had people reach out to her like, hey, I saw that video of you crying, but I want to buy a home with you. And she got a lot of business from that video. So I'm not necessarily suggesting that you do that, but the point is transparent, authentic content does work. And so just be yourself. Don't always be perfectly polished and put together, right? People want to see the real stuff. Okay, so master your craft is one. Authenticity and transparency is two. Number three is video content, which is not a surprise. That's also 90% of our business, but that's not the only reason I'm saying that. This is just has been the trend and it continues to be the trend. It's what's working. It's what the algorithms and the platforms are prioritizing. So how will that be different then in 2024? I'm not sure how much of the differences are really going to impact you guys, but I'll share some of what I think the differences are going to be with video content. And then I'll share what's going to stay the same too. But Instagram and TikTok have both upped their limit to 10 minutes. So instead of an Instagram reel being it was initially 60 seconds and then 90 seconds. Now it's up to 10 minutes. TikTok did the same thing. They beat Instagram to the punch like they normally do. And they were 10 minutes a while ago too. So I'm expecting to see a bit longer and more dynamic videos. When I say dynamic, if you guys are on YouTube and you see how there's videos embedded in there that are relevant or links and that kind of stuff to your content, I'm expecting more of this. And part of the reason is because brands like Meta have had a hard time monetizing some of their content, and they're looking for more ways to actually get a piece of all the attention that all of a sudden went on short form videos, but people just get sucked in this rabbit hole and are watching these videos and they're not seeing the ads that they're making all this money on. So they're looking for ways to do that. So I'm expecting longer videos to be one of the ways that changes. Collaboration, shoppable, that's already happening on TikTok now. Clickable videos and tags throughout videos. Like I said, nothing really to change or do differently right now, but that's something I expect to see. SEO, if any of you guys are investing in SEO, social media has been a part of that for a while. Video, it helps that Google owns YouTube, but that's becoming a bigger and bigger part of SEO. So any SEO efforts you're doing, social media in general is becoming a increasingly bigger percentage of what matters for SEO too. And then global reach and audience as a local or stateside, like based in this nation, this again may not impact you a ton, but I'll talk about this a little bit later with some of the AI tools and stuff that are out there, but you can publish content like 40 different languages pretty quickly right now. And I think the world is just going to continue to get smaller. So that's another trend that if it's not 2024, it's going to be 25, but that's definitely coming and it'll be interesting to see how that shifts. What will be the same in 2024? How many of you guys are actively posting video content right now? Nice. Okay. Who has not ever posted an Instagram reel? Nice. So things that'll be the same. Why do we like, share, or save a video? Usually that's because it has some sort of value. We got something from it. Like I said, maybe that's just because it's funny. Maybe there's actionable steps. But the reason that we watch it is because of the emotion. It elicits some kind of an emotion. It catches us. It captures our interest. There's some sort of an emotional response that it elicits. And the hook is what does that. That is the most important part of your video. That's not going to change because your video can be amazing. But if people are not hooked into watching your video, then it doesn't really matter. They're not going to watch it. I'm going to give you guys 5 ways to create better hooks and give a couple examples here. Some of this might be review for you. Some of this might be new. We'll see. One is hook around a feeling, like I mentioned. So here's your market update. Did anybody get a feeling from that? So a different way you could say something like that. Hey, here's what the media doesn't want you to know about the market. So that's a little bit more compelling. Check out this loan product. Is anybody jumping on TikTok scrolling, hoping to learn about different loan products? Like that's not going to capture somebody's attention right off the bat, right? So what if you did something like this? Here's how big banks have duped the masses into getting this outdated loan product. Maybe that is a bit more compelling. Maybe that captures some interest, right? So hooking around a feeling, position in a way where it's going to elicit some kind of response from you. 2, frame for the viewer. Me, my, I, mine. That is not as good or as compelling as you, your, yours. And it's also not saying, hey, everybody. Hey, you guys. Hey, y'all. That's not as good as saying, hey, you, like this one specific person I'm talking to you versus the sea of people, right? So a couple examples. Eating McDonald's makes me feel sick. I think it's because, so if you were to reframe that for the viewer, That could be, here's how McDonald's is making you sick. So now you're talking directly to somebody, right? So that's the second one, frame for the viewer. Third is a negative connotation. We've all got this lizard brain that makes us run away from stuff faster than we're actually running to anything. This is going to help you save $1,000. That's great, but it's more compelling if not doing this one thing is costing you thousands of dollars. That hurts a lot more than the upside of gaining or saving $1,000. So if you can frame things negatively, that's more compelling, more attractive. Number 4 is newsjacking. This means hopping on some sort of a trend, something that's in the news, something that people actually care about and appeals to a broader audience than just your exact specific ideal consumer avatar. So how much is a mortgage on a $5 million house? How many people are in the market for a $5 million house right now? Based on what Todd just said, not a lot. So how do you make this something that people actually want to watch if they're like, I'm not in the market personally, with my budget set up for a $5 million home right now, right? So what if you said, here's how much Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce spend on their mortgage each month? I want to know. And now I'm like, do they live together? Did they buy a house and I didn't know about it, right? Like all of a sudden now it's something that people actually care about. You're making the same content, you're providing the exact same value, but now there's this massive sea of people that are somehow, maybe their interest is piqued. Right? So newsjacking can be a really compelling way. Take something that's trending or happening and position the same value, the same content inside of that package. And then the fifth thing, is there any fluff? Can you be any more efficient with the first 10 words of your video? I feel like some of these things we know, but we still really want to start a video and just be like, hey guys, how's it going? This is Mark from BRANDTEGIC, and today I'm really excited. It's like, no, you got to stop doing that. So cut all of that, get to the actual value and the meat of it. Ruthlessly eliminate the fluff from your content, okay? So the 5 ways to create better hooks: hook around a feeling, frame it for the viewer, hit that negative connotation, throw in some newsjacking, and then eliminate any fluff ruthlessly. Get rid of every word that does not matter, okay? The 3 trends we've talked about so far: mastering your craft, actually being good, authenticity and transparency. Got a Slack message apparently. And then video content. The 4th thing is AI and tech. So this is something that, again, this isn't new. Just like video content, AI has been a hot topic that you guys have all heard a lot about, but it's going to continue to get more and more impressive. Who here has used ChatGPT? Has anybody never used ChatGPT? This has been a big thing already. It's getting better, and there's some new stuff. We did a couple of videos this year. We did one, human versus robot, Peter did, where he basically timed somebody writing a script for a video manually versus ChatGPT doing it entirely to see. And then we filmed both and had people vote on it just to see. I think ChatGPT actually won on that one, which was funny. And then I filmed a video. This is almost a year ago, but I put in a prompt, did not change one word. I just did the video. And then the only line I added at the end was, by the way, this whole thing was created by AI. Could you tell? So it's getting pretty good. It's not going to entirely replace you. It's not going to entirely replace me, but it should make your job a lot faster. It should feed you a ton of ideas. If you're somebody that's struggling to put out content because you don't know what to say, what topics, you have a really hard time piecing that stuff together, then using ChatGPT, and if you need ideas on how to do this or what prompt or what to put in, talk to me and I will help you with that. But it can feed you a ton of ideas. I'll ask it for like 30. And then I'll trim that down, combine 3 or 4 into something that's actually good. So it's not like you just put in a prompt and say, hey, give me an idea for a reel. No, here's my values, here's my vision, here's what I've been doing, here's the results I've had, here's what I'm trying to accomplish, here's who I'm speaking to. This is the format that I'm looking for in the response for you to give me. But the more you give it, the better response that you will have. And some of that stuff you can templatize, so it's more copy paste, put in the specific topic, and now it's even better. There's also custom instructions. So if you have the newer version, then you can actually give it a whole bunch of information before you even start a chat with it to actually have it already programmed to give you specifically ideal content and responses for you. And now there's plugins too, where you can add third-party apps and different things. So AI has been changing the game for a lot of people that are using it, and it's just continuing to speed up and make all of our roles more efficient if we are consistently trying to put out a lot of content, and it's just going to get better. Another thing is automated DM conversations. How many of you guys have had these and actually really liked it? Okay. Because I feel like I talked about authenticity, transparency. So does anybody want an automated response in the DMs? If I want information and I can get it immediately and it's done well, I actually really like it. People expect lightning fast service right now, right? If your response time is slower than 5 minutes, then you're losing business. There's a lot of stats around how important it is just because we're in the age of social media where people want immediate response to everything. And there's some really compelling ways. This is something I actually plan to spend a fair amount of time on this year, is really getting good at this, both for myself, for our brand, and for clients too. This is something I think is going to be really valuable for a lot of people. This is my friend Natasha. She does it for different events that she hosts, and it's automated. You get like event reminders and, hey, here's a video to watch before the call. And she's building an email list because of everything, and it's all built into it. So there's ways to do it that are not good, and there's ways that are actually really, really good and really effective that people have gotten a ton of results from. And I think this is going to continue. This coupled with AI, I think will be really powerful for brands, because we all want the results, but we don't want to sit there and be responding to DMs all day. So if you can automate some of it, then that is going to be really helpful. This is not something that I have invested a huge amount of time in, but it is really cool, and it's coming. I mentioned it before, 40 plus languages at the click of a button. If you have a photo and video of yourself that you upload, you can upload your voice, and you can make AI content that looks like 80% like you right now. It's getting pretty impressively good. So again, not today. You may not need to do it tomorrow, or you're going to fall behind or something like that. But if we're talking about where are things going, if you want to jump into HeyGen and check it out, have some fun with it, then that's going to be really interesting to see how that changes things. Automating some different tasks with Zapier or whichever automation tool. Ultimately, like having a good strategy and a good system is really important, because you might be like really good at making content, but if really good at making content means you go in, you film one video, it's actually great, and then you post it, well, the next person is only average, and they had a system, they had time going in, coming up with a ton of ideas, they came in prepared, filmed 4 in the time that you filmed 1, and then they've got a system for taking those 4 videos, turning that into 20 more pieces of content. Well, you filmed 1, did one thing, they did 25. So even if you're amazing, they're going to beat you because they're doing 25 times as much content for every 1 hour they put in, right? So having a good strategy and system just to be effective and efficient and actually differentiate yourself is really important today. The trends we talked about so far: master your craft, actually get good, authenticity, transparency, video content, and then AI and tech, and then some tips and takeaways that I'll run through quickly just to kind of wrap up here. One is you are the niche. So there's a lot of people that, and some of this is personal. These are my tips, and I'm talking, so I'm going to tell you what I think, right? But you are the niche. You can be somebody that talks about only one thing. That's the only little, like you pigeonhole yourself into talking about this one thing forever. And then it becomes really clear you attract just that one person, but you'll get burnt out doing that. And there's only so much you can talk about. And I think people are way more interesting when they're dynamic. We're all dynamic. We all have different interests. You know, we've all done like different weird, like I hosted a conference about NFTs last year, and I had a Jeep with a rooftop tent. And it's like, those things start conversations with people that make me different than just some other guy talking about social media, because there's a million of those on Instagram, right? Joe Rogan, he didn't pick a niche of like, I'm going to talk about mushrooms and conspiracies and aliens and comedy, right? Like he just talked about the stuff that he likes and built his whole brand around that. So we're all dynamic. Lean into what actually interests you, and you're going to have a lot more fun making content that way too. Pick your primary platform. I talked about the platforms that right now are prioritizing video, that are popping off. But if you're somebody that loves, maybe you love writing, or you love, creating quotes or drawing or something, like you can build your brand in different ways. It doesn't have to be video. I would say pick whichever platform you actually are going to be consistent with. Consistency overall is like the most important thing. So if you can consistently, maybe it's Twitter and Threads, okay? And you do that. And then when something takes off, turn that one into a video. And maybe that's your thing. What works for somebody else may not be the right thing for you, but pick one platform. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it is Reels. That's what I'm talking about, because that's, when we look at trends, that's what is working the most right now. But if you're consistent with something else, then do that. Whatever you can do to be consistent, that's where you'll win. Schedule time for ideation. If you just show up and throw up, like you do zero prep and expect to walk out with good content, probably not going to happen. Or if you do, you'll just get like one piece of content when you could have ended with 10 pieces of content, right? So schedule time for ideation, batch create content, way more efficient. You get way more done, way more results in the same amount of time. And then repurpose your content into more. Strategic engagement. What I would suggest for this is make a list of like the top 100 people that you respect, are thought leaders in your industry, have the audience that you want, people you'd love to actually build a relationship with, and then strategically build a relationship with those people and have like a targeted approach to give value in the comments, respond to things. Like be engaged with that more niche community. And that's how I would suggest being really strategic and targeted and effective with your engagement. Because putting out content is one thing, but it's social networking, right? It's not just post it and forget about it. And like everybody posts and wants to be recognized. When you post, you like when you get a lot of engagement, right? So do the same thing for other people and contribute to their success, and it will come back around. Review the numbers, pay attention to what the numbers are, and allow that to guide or at least influence your strategy and what works. But don't do that after one post. Some people put one post and they're like, dude, I did what you said and did not work. It's like, okay, well, try like 15 videos. Chris Claflin, maybe you guys have seen him if you're on TikTok, you've probably seen him because every video he puts out gets like 5 million views. So we've actually engaged with him a bit and heard his strategy. His strategy, just to reset your bar or your expectation maybe a little bit, he says, okay, find 3 to 5 winning pieces of content that you can consistently repeat and get results from. Generally, to find that one piece, you're going to have to try out 5 or 6 different pillars and do 10 to 15 different pieces of content within those pillars. From that, you'll have one that stands out, and that's going to be what you lean into. So 50 to 60 pieces of content gets you one. You want to have 5. So he's saying just to like figure out what you're going to do, put out 250 pieces of content. That's his strategy. Okay. So I'm saying 15, I'm not saying 250, but it's not one. And that's where a lot of people are, so being consistent. Alex Hormozi, who I talked about earlier, a lot of you guys probably know him. He talks about this story where he was talking to a Fortune 100 CEO that's like, you know what? I really need to up my content game, but I'm doing okay. I'm putting out like 1 post a week. And Alex told him, he's like, dude, I literally put out 300 pieces of content per week. The guy's like, okay, thank you for resetting my bar of what's required, And so I'm not saying you got to start there, baby steps. If you're not doing anything right now, then post once a week, right? Or do something to actually be consistent. Be consistent wherever you are. But if you're looking for how to differentiate yourself, then there's people that are doing those kinds of numbers. And like I said before, if you're average with a good system and you're consistent, you're going to beat somebody that's really excellent and puts out 1 video every 6 months. And then repeat the process. So you're the niche. You've got plenty to talk about. Don't limit it to just one thing. Pick your platform. Schedule time for ideation. Batch the content. Repurpose it into more. Be strategic with your engagement. Review the numbers. And then repeat. And then if you're consistent, you will get business results from it. Guaranteed. It's going to happen. If you stick with it, you will get results. And I want one of those messages I showed at the beginning of, hey, just got this listing or just close this, send it to me. I would love to hear it. I love getting that kind of stuff. It's amazing. And if the thing though is not everybody in this room, most people are probably not going to do it. That's just how it works. So if you want to get results from social media, if you want to differentiate yourself and use this as your way of doing it, then don't be like most people. And you'll get results. And if you don't, if that's not where you're at right now, that's okay too. But if you want to leverage social media, if you're looking for a way to differentiate yourself and you're ready to be consistent, commit to it, it's going to work for you. Thank you.